side of this. We saw that at the Killeen Airport earlier. We lost our Killeen Airport camera, so we don't know exactly if it's just a power outage or what exactly happened there. But we have had some very strong winds south of I-14. Let's go farther to the north. Let's go farther to the north. Again, the far northern reaches of the strongest winds going to be right near Harker Heights. So that's going to be right there on 14, then continuing, where you jut up to the northeast there, and then you go back toward the east, toward Nolanville. Then as you get over toward the Belton area, I think literally I-14 south is where you're going to have the strongest wind core. So if you live on the south side of Belton, if you live on the south side of Temple, you're going to want to watch these storms very closely, as damaging winds will be very likely with this line of thunderstorms. And then again, moving through the Salado area, down toward Jarrell, you're likely in a pocket of very strong winds right now. Salado, you're getting into the strong winds right now. South side of Belton, it's going to be coming momentarily. And then again, we have the tornado warning part for right here, just to the northwest of Bartlett. It's going to be right in here. Let's go back to storm relative. So there we go. So we'll wait for the latest scan and update on this, but clearly can see that. Maybe the possibility of the tornado now crossing into Bell County, and now just, about 4 miles west of 95. But that's on this scan, so we'll say about 2 miles, 2 to 3 miles west of 95, as this is likely picked up 40, 50 mile per hour forward speed. So this is moving very quickly, so it's going to get on you very quickly. So just trust in us to know where it is. It's dark outside. Don't go outside and try to see this thing, because you're probably not going to. There's the latest scan. Look how fast that moved on one scan here, folks. 1 mile west of 95, just north of Bartlett by about 1 to 2 miles as well. That is where your circulation is currently located. That will continue to make its way east. With each scan, we're getting, this will be across 95 here in the next 3 minutes or so. So these are very fast moving storms. And the faster they move, the more momentum they have as well to bring that wind down to the surface. So that's going to be concerning for straight line winds as well. Even if you don't see a tornadic circulation, straight line winds are definitely going to be a big time possibility with this as it crosses 95 here in the next 2 minutes. Caleb?
Yeah, so, and the other thing, I'm glad you mentioned that, Matt, even with these colors that we've been talking about, obviously, as I go back to base reflectivity for a moment, the brightest blues are, once you get actually so blue, they get into dark blue, that would be your most problematic. But let's not forget, even these lighter shades of blues are going to be some very strong winds. So I can just pick out some colors for those. Again, these are shooting up a little bit into the sky, but the lighter blues could be 70 to 60, 75 miles per hour. So outside of even the strongest cores, you've got some really strong wind headed down this I-35 corridor from west to east. And again, not necessarily that what we're reading here is verbatim what's reaching the ground, but a lot of it, I'm sure, is going to be strong nonetheless. So anywhere in these areas, want to be inside seeking shelter.
Zoom in between Salado and Bartlett. I want to show folks this kind of wavy pattern going on right here. So you have strong winds blowing out into the Holland area. Then it goes back into here. That's where your potential circulation is. Then it juts out near Bartlett once again. Now it looks like a new notch trying to develop south of Bartlett. So we may get a couple of these trying to develop here and there along the line. One may be trying to develop northwest of Holland as well. So we have 3 areas that we're going to be watching. Right there, and right in there, as we're going to be seeing that as it continues to make its way off to the east. Even seeing radar indications now. So that's the one that's near Bartlett. So that's the one we need to definitely keep an eye on, as it is wound up very tightly there, right on 95, continuing to quickly progress off to the east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So north of Bartlett, north side of Bartlett, south of Holland, there on 95, continue to take your tornado precautions. If you live anywhere across southeastern parts of Bell County, moving into western Milam County, you need to keep a very close eye on these thunderstorms, as we do have the tornado warning that goes all the way to Cameron right now. So, or at least on the west side of Cameron. So they're expecting that this is at least going to continue for a little while as that circulation makes its way off toward the east. So again, anywhere from the west side of Cameron back to the west, keep a close eye on these thunderstorms. Just because it's not there now, it will get there very quickly as this is moving at 40 to 50 miles per hour. And again, probably a notch there, notch there. This is the main circulation that we've been watching, and we may get another one south of Bartlett. So 3 little notches going on here along that line. and very strong winds. Again, even if you don't see the circulating winds, very strong winds. This is still storm relative, right?
Let's jump to that. I want to make sure we're doing
Okay.
that. This is storm relative.
Let's query that west of Bartlett. Let's just see what it says on storm relative.
Okay, west of Bartlett? Okay.
So that's saying 49, 50 mile per hour winds. So storm relative, again, takes the radar and the motion in with the radar into play. Velocity is just taking it one direction. So this is taking the motion of the thunderstorm into play here. So again, as that makes its way east of 95, we're probably going to see the potential of those very strong winds continuing. So that's storm relative. Let's go back to the velocity products. And now let's query that. Let's see what the velocity is saying. So that's, again, 74 mile per hour winds. And that's very close to the radar side. So I would say 50 to 75 mile per hour winds near Bartlett, very likely. And that will continue off into western parts of Milam County over the next 20 minutes or so. So if you live in western Milam, west of 190, make sure you're ready to take your tornado precautions, as this tornado warning does include you as well, and very strong winds associated with that. Let's go back up toward Killeen, Harker Heights. So again, far south side, we're seeing that potential strong winds here. So Harker Heights, Killeen, so a few miles south of 14, that's where the strongest winds are. Get a little radar effect there. Okay.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We'll have to wait till the next scan comes around.
Yeah, the radar playing some games with us. But again, it's showing us where the core of the wind is actually. So that's, again, near Salado. South side of Belton, you're probably going to see some of these strong winds. Maybe the south side of Temple as well. Hopefully, it'll stay just to the south of Temple the way it looks right now. But it's going to be close. It'll be on the south side of the loop there as you head down 190 and as you get into the 95 and 190 interchange right here. That's probably going to be the northern extent of it, and then extending down toward Little River Academy as that makes its way off toward the east. Any updates?
Looking at seeing just what the National Weather Service is saying behind the scenes, we've got, let's see, Holland Fire Department reporting with their words is a lowering, previously seeing a lowering close to the ground. That'd be the Holland Fire Department. No contact before they got hit with wind and rain, so no visual on that anymore. And that's really the only other particular report to pass along. In addition to that, we were still waiting for reports of like a verified wind gust. Haven't seen that from any airports or people's personal weather stations just yet. But no doubt these are going to be some very, very strong winds where we've identified already. And you can bet that even with some of this bad data, it's just the wind speeds are there. The opposite colors here are just, it got confused on the direction, but the stronger colors are the stronger winds, so you still have that powerful core coming into Salado. And we just had this gust front pass by the Lake Granger radar site, really within, as soon as this scan was taken, almost 30 seconds later. So this is likely very close to what's actually happening, because you can't really get much closer to the ground than the spot right next to the radar site. So these numbers of, again, 49, we're going to say 48, and let me make sure that this is actually base velocity, because I think those are storm relative numbers. Yeah, that's base velocity. Okay, good. So we could say that maybe at its closest to the ground, hopefully these weren't reaching those 70 mile per hour numbers, as I'm getting some 40s and 50s, but still potential there for some 60s and 70s to be reaching the ground in spots as we get this storm through northeast Williamson County and the southwest or southeast corner of Bell County. Still a bow shape with that storm. It's what we call a bow echo. It's an echo that hints at straight line wind development that is literally pushing the storm in that direction. And that was previously where we had that circulation near Schwertner that tried to develop. And with time, it looks like that is maybe more not as wrapped up as it once was, we'll say. I mean, you can still identify some greens and reds close together near Bartlett, but I don't really see them coming together in a method that would say it's really spinning there. So it's one to watch, but farther up to the north through Holland, you're now getting those very strong winds. In fact, we know it's through Holland now because of the report from the fire department. And then again, as you head farther to the north, Temple and Belton are in a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, as some very strong winds could be headed that way. These are your wind gusts, Matt.
Yeah, we got up to 56 south side of Killeen there. That's
Gotcha. Okay, 56, and was that the airport, or was that just someone's?
52. No, that's
Okay, 52 at the airport, and then another weather station recording 56 a couple miles east of the airport. And those are the two fastest numbers we have to pass along right now.
All right, main bow currently near Bartlett. That's right there on the Bell and Williamson County line. You can see that bow going right through the radar site. So the radar was just hit by some very strong winds, and that will continue into southwestern parts of Milam County. And looks like anywhere north of Highway 79 is where that bow is going to go, and south of 190. So that's basically going to take it right toward you folks in Cameron. Now, storms change. They don't stay the same all the time. Hopefully this will weaken a little bit, but as of right now, I would take this seriously for Cameron to the west and say we're going to at least get some very strong westerly winds associated with this. And again, where you did have that potential, it's not looking as good now, but maybe a little bit of a notch here, northeast of Bartlett, right there on the Milam and Bell County line, south of Rogers. So that is going to continue to make its way off toward the east. So folks in Buckholz, get ready. You'll be very close to the northern part of that as it makes its way off toward the east. Waiting on some new data to come in from the radar site here. But again, very indicative of some very strong winds making its way across. Probably getting some of that radar fooling because, well, the storm's moving right over the top of the radar. So it's trying to figure out everything that's happening with the thunderstorm that's right on top of them right now. But that will continue to work its way off. So anywhere between 190 and 79, that's where we do have the potential for that tornado warned storm to go across. So make sure you're taking your tornado precautions there as it works its way into western Milam County now and continuing off toward the east. Cameron, still a good ways from you, but it is moving closer to you. So we just need to keep an eye on this as it works on in. Still that little notch right there associated with this thunderstorm as it works its way off to the east, and still have that bow that is to Davia right now, continuing to make its way in deeper into Milam County and toward the Rockdale area. Rockdale, Cameron, you're going to likely see that along Highway 77. So get ready for those strong winds there. Is probably be there in the next 10 minutes or so. This thing is moving and moving quick, 40 to 50 miles per hour off toward the east. Salado, you've seen probably the worst of the winds for you now. Not getting any reports of damage coming in so far. That is good news, but Salado to Gerald, I'm sure some tree damage has definitely occurred with those kind of winds going on through. Could be power disruptions for you as well as this makes its way off toward the east, and we're going to be seeing that main bow between Rogers and Thorndale and then continuing to slide off toward the east. So 190 to 79 continuing across western parts of Milam County. Let's go back to storm relatives, see if we see anything northeast of Bartlett here. Kind of hard to tell. It'll be southeast of Holland. Maybe a little bit of a spin, but as of right now, some contaminated data, so the radar having a tough time with this one currently as it works its way, but tornado warning still in effect. I'd say now moving more into Milam County. If you live anywhere along 95 West, you're in the clear as far as any tornadic potential, but this is making its way off to the east very quickly, leading edge of that strong wind right on in here, and it will continue to work its way off toward the east. Any updates?
I do have a wind report from 3 miles south of jail. Also nice to know that this one wasn't excessively strong, as 49 miles per hour. Also a new report just on the north side of Salado of 57 miles per hour. These are numbers that are pretty strong, but thankfully they're not coming in the order of 70 miles per hour, so that is good news. Of course, we can't completely rule that out as this storm continues to march into Milam County, but so far I don't have anything to verify that those numbers have occurred previously.
Now, the Weather Service in Austin, San Antonio, that covers Williamson County, they took the destructive tag off. They've taken this back down to 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So that's good news. So the destructive tag is now off the severe thunderstorm warning, but we still have the tornado warning in effect. And the Weather Service not talking a lot about that over the past few minutes, but it continues east of 95 now, making its way into Milam County. This will be south of Rogers, and then continuing to make its way closer and closer toward you folks in Cameron. Doesn't mean there will be a tornado in Cameron. Doesn't mean that we're going to continue to with this signature. It just means the potential is there for little spin-ups along the front of this line that currently is making its way into western Milam County right now, and then pushing towards you folks in the Cameron area. So anywhere west of Cameron, let's go ahead and take our tornado precautions just in case. we get one of those quick spin ups in your location. But as of right now, it appears that hopefully this is going to be more straight line wind damage than tornado damage. But as I've been stating, we will have the potential for some tree damage with this.
I think you're right. We do have reports coming in and from Salado, Oak Tree Drive, ironically, trees down on Oak Tree Drive. Parts of a deck ripped off. That's a report from coming out of the Salado area, Oak Tree Drive in particular. So in terms of damage, that may be the first damage report that we've got tonight. So we did have that 57-mile-per-hour wind gust on the north side of town, and now it sounds like some tree damage has occurred there.
All right, so probably some tree damage in around Salado, probably some tree damage in and around Jarrell, probably some tree damage in around Bartlett, maybe up toward Holland, maybe toward the Rogers area coming into your location as the radar playing catch up now. And again, this storm went right over the radar, so some things may have happened with the radar, but it looks like the main line of wind continues now into western Milam County. So you can see we've gone from green, which is toward the radar, to red, which is blowing away from the radar. So as this was moving toward the radar, it was a big green and blue blob. Now it's going to be a big red blob as it makes its way east of the radar site, and very well defined right here with that bow echo moving through western parts of Milam County. And look how sharp that gradient is as well. When you see a sharp gradient, right along with that, everything's matching up. That's indicative of some very strong winds. So Cameron, you're probably going to get hit by this. It is not weakening at this point. In fact, that bow is very well defined currently as it continues to make its way toward you folks in Cameron. So get ready for that. If I know it's Monday, holiday, kids getting out of school, kids may be at a friend's house, make sure they stay where they are right now. Everyone stay where you are in Cameron. Don't try to get home real quick. This storm will be on you within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So again, bow echo making its way toward Cameron, west-facing windows, west-facing walls I'd get away from. We haven't had any reports of hail with this, which is good news. So probably not wind-blown hail, but we don't want any debris flying into a western-facing window. So get away from those and make sure you put a couple walls between you and the outside. Again, tornado warning still in effect with this, but I'm definitely seeing more of a bow shape now. I'm not seeing those little notches like what we were seeing earlier, but they are continuing with the tornado warning, at least for now. But I do think this is turning into more of a straight line wind event than it is a tornado event, but still the tornado warning is in effect, so we need to go ahead and still make sure our precautions are ready to go. And speaking of that, let's go over that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are in line with this particular thunderstorm, in that tornado warning, there are some steps that you can take, and you have this graphic here illustrating a house, and it's the green room there that we'd like you to be at. That's the interior room, center part of your house with as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And that center part might be a bathroom, it could be a closet for you, but ideally that's going to be on your ground floor. And of course, once you're there, there are some other steps you can take to protect yourself by covering your head with a helmet. There are things you can grab like blankets or pillows to take with you, and just kind of grab them and cuddle up with those for a little while in your safe spot. And built-in storm shelters, of course, are great too, but if you don't have one of those, now is where you need to be in that interior room on your first floor. Mobile homes or manufactured homes should be abandoned at this time in place of your more sturdy shelter. And if you've reviewed your tornado safety plans with your family, you should know by now where that local sturdy shelter for you is, but it's time to get out of those and into something more sturdy as this potential tornadic storm approaches your area.
All right, they're going to let the tornado warning expire. So that's what they're going to let that do, but they're still going to keep the tag for the severe thunderstorm warning of 80+ mile per hour winds right along the bow. So this is still considered a destructive thunderstorm across western parts of Milam County, moving toward you folks in the Cameron area. Let's go up to Temple real quick. We do probably have some pretty strong winds just blowing into the south side of town right now, pretty much where I told you, 95 and 190. That's where we're having likely the strongest winds in the city as of right now. The farther north you are in Temple, if you're on the north side, you're going to get some wind, but it's not going to be nearly as strong as what folks on the south side are going to be experiencing here. This is not a tornado situation. I know the anniversary was just last week. We know that when storms approach, you get a little anxiety there in Temple. This is not a tornado situation. This is a straight line wind situation though. So trees still could be weakened from that tornado of last year, and we may get a little bit of tree damage even on the south side of Temple. I wouldn't rule that out. but that will continue to march off toward the east, and that will eventually get into southern parts of Falls County. And you are under the severe thunderstorm warning as well. You have thunderstorms over you right now, but the main line is near Rogers. That will continue up into southern parts of Falls and into all of Milam County. Milam County is really going to be the apex of this, especially in and around Cameron, the way it looks right now and the way it's going in. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on this since we have the latest update here.
Alrighty.
Let's go ahead and do that. Thorndale at 916, Buckholz at 917, Cameron around 930, Milano around 940, and over toward Calvert about 959. So again, here in the next 10 minutes or so, I would say it's going to be into the Cameron area. It says 930 there. I'm going to say 925. We're going to bump it up just a little bit just because this is moving so fast. So 5 to 10 minutes, it's on your doorstep there in Cameron. As that continues with that destructive tag of 80 plus mile per hour winds. Let's go back to velocities. Let's see if we can see anything. Trying to here, but still some bad data here. That's the green in here. But we're probably at least seeing, can we get outside that green just a little bit just to kind of give us what could be happening. That says 40 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour, 47. What about right in here?
You want the, oh, okay, that
Just
one? Yeah.
Near the green. Okay, 50. So again, I still think we're getting some bad data here, but 50 plus, 100%. Could it get up to 70, 80? Yeah, that's definitely within the realm of possibility as that continues toward Highway 77, 190, north side of 79. So Thorndale to Rockdale to Cameron to Buckholz. That's where we're going to see the main line of this wind, and then eventually it will continue to make its way off toward the east across eastern Milam County, and then eventually over toward the Hearn area, possibly Bryan College Station as well. So that will be working in there. And generally, if you live along the Highway 79 corridor, this will likely have an impact on your area. Severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for you. So we're giving you a heads up as this thunderstorm continues to march off toward the east. You can see those orange shaded counties there, Leon County, Robertson, back into Milam. Still have the tornado warning in effect, but they're going to allow that to expire. So that is some good news there. But in and around Cameron, still going to get some very strong winds in Cameron, probably near Thorndale, Rogers, over toward Buckholz. That's where that is going to be. We've had reports of some tree damage in and around Salado, probably up and down I-35. There was some damage here from Salado back toward Gerald. That's where the strongest winds did occur with this, and it will continue to march across Milam County and into Cameron. Temple, you're in very heavy rain right now, a lot of lightning. There will likely be some localized street flooding with this, but the worst of the winds just on your south side and then points farther off to the south. So I know in Temple, you get nervous about this. Not a tornadic situation, thankfully for you, but we do have the potential for at least some strong winds associated with that as it makes its way off to the east. And the main bow itself literally has its sights set on Cameron in the next 10 minutes.
And in addition to that, like you're saying, all the heavy rain, Matt, I know portions of our area have a flood watch, but we've got some flash flood warnings out, I believe. Let's just take the radar off for a moment. You can see the green boxes drawn back for Burnett County, Williamson County. It does include eastern parts of Williamson County too, even though there's also yellow boxes there for severe thunderstorm warnings. But flash flooding could be ongoing on Burnett and Williamson County at this point, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see additional ones follow up with these areas that are receiving the heaviest rainfall. And as a reminder, yeah, that flood watch is going to continue for portions of the area tonight as we still have quite a bit of these going on. Southeast of Harker Heights, I think that's a late report of some tree damage. So we've got a couple miles south of Harker Heights from those storms earlier. Tree damage reported there. Obviously, storms have left there now, at least the heaviest part, the windiest part. But it sounds like we're picking up some additional tree damage in the area from these Bell County storms.
And that was farther away from the bow. So Harker Heights, southeast of Harker Heights, we did receive some tree damage there. Also in and around Salado, tree damage being reported. That's what we thought was going to happen. There could be some roof damage as well on some of the roofs out there as 80 mile per hour winds will continue to do that. Another little notch developing. I don't like the way that looks.
I think our data is late on the other stuff. It's going to come in soon. But
it's bending right here. That's about 5 miles west of Cameron. At the very least, strong winds, but again, we got to watch these little notches right here. So that little notch right there will continue to work its way toward Cameron. Currently on FM 486, it will approach FM 1600. Again, still under a tornado warning. So we'll see if they reissue because of this new notch that has just developed just to the southwest of Cameron.
That's brand new.
That's brand new. So is that SRV? Mm-hmm. All right, so that's storm relative, just starting to get maybe a little bit of a notch starting to develop right here. Nothing that is screaming tornado to me, but we do have the potential for maybe a little quick spin up along the leading edge, anywhere along this leading edge across parts of Milam County. And technically the tornado warning is still in effect. So we need to watch this area right here, about 5 miles to the west-southwest of Cameron, as it continues to make its way off to the east. You're gonna get the strong winds no matter what. But will you have anything that's rotating? We'll just have to wait and see as this new notch tries to develop right there on the Bow Echo itself as it makes its way off toward the east. So if you live anywhere from Cameron east, you really need to be paying attention to these storms. Robertson County, you'll be up next for this line of thunderstorms as it continues to march off toward the east. It could get down into Bryan College Station. Looks like they just added a severe thunderstorm watch for Bryan College Station, Madison County, Burleson County. You're all under the severe thunderstorm watch now as this line of thunderstorms makes its way off to the east. I had a feeling they were going to do that, but this severe thunderstorm watch, like the extension of the other one that was issued until 1 o'clock in the morning. So if you live in Bryan College Station, you are now under a severe thunderstorm watch as this line of thunderstorms continues to migrate off toward the east. Milam County is what we're watching the most. Temple, you're seeing very heavy rain. Flooding will be possible here in and around the city of Temple. Looks like it's lightening up for you folks in the Killeen area, but the strongest winds moving right at Cameron. Waco, north and west, you're not going to see severe weather. Everything should be okay for you. So if you're in Waco, you're going to be fine. Anywhere east of Waco as you head across Limestone County, most of Limestone County, probably not going to see severe weather now, most of Freestone as well. We'll see if it can try to intensify a little bit in Leon and Robertson County as this part of the line continues to march off toward the southeast. The good news with all this, hopefully by about 11 o'clock, we're done with a lot of this thunderstorm activity. That's the way it's going to be looking right now. So that is at least some good news. We'll all be able to get a good night's sleep later on tonight as we prepare for work in the morning. A lot of kiddos off from school, I know, excited for that. But we still have the main part of this moving into Cameron, and we're going to be watching this closely. The tornado warning is still officially in effect. Watching this little notch right here. We'll see if that maintains itself in the next scan. But at the very least, we're going to get some very strong winds going into the Cameron area. It's now 9:21. Probably in the next 3 to 4 minutes, it'll be on your doorstep.
And as we continue to watch those very strong winds, Matt, of course, we want to also see the behavior of the wind, see if anything's trying to curl up. And I was honestly expecting it to look a little different the way you've got the reflectivity curl there. I mean, that stands out easily. And I thought we'd see something a little more spinny from the velocity standpoint. And we're not so far, which is great news. But we're going to keep watching it like a hawk. It's coming into that Cameron area. And these are already places under a tornado warning anyway for the next few minutes, so treat it like that's still a possibility. And I do know we're going to get a new severe thunderstorm warning coming for the remainder of Milam County and parts of Robertson and Leon County for winds up to 70 miles per hour. That is straight from the National Weather Service, so that should be coming soon. But again, at least from the wind standpoint, still very strong and still likely straight line wind gusts. Not exactly something that's imminently spinning yet, but because of the way it looks right here, we're going to continue to watch it as it comes into Cameron.
So continuing, the new scan will be coming in here very shortly. There it is, catching up. Looks like that little notch is right down here, southwest of Cameron, which means it's going to go south of Cameron. But notice the wall of rain right here. That is a very sharp line. That's indicative of that strong wind that continues to make its way in. So the next scan, it will be in. So between now and 9:30, it's going to be moving into Cameron, and that's going to bring that very strong wind associated with it as well. Still have the tornado warning in effect. That's about to expire. New severe thunderstorm warning will be coming in for eastern Milam going into western parts of Robertson County. That will likely be inclusive of 70 plus mile per hour winds associated with this. So going from 80 to 70, At least we've come down about 10 miles per hour, but still that potential will exist as that makes its way off to the east. Still going to be a potent thunderstorm rolling across Cameron, then making its way toward Hearn. So anywhere between Cameron and Hearn, get ready for these thunderstorms as they're going to be loud and proud as they make their way off toward the east. A lot of thunder and lightning going along with it as well. So power disruptions, probably a pretty good likelihood, as we'll get tree damage, lightning maybe hitting some of those power poles as well. There's the latest on the track. Go over that for us.
Yeah, I upped it to 45 miles per hour just because it does look like it's moving a little bit more. So Cameron, again, it's going to be basically there in just a few minutes. Milano at 9:39, Branchville at 9:46, and then Marvin at 9:52. Hearn, we mentioned you. That's right at the top of the hour. And then Aston at 10:03. So any moment now, we're going to get a new severe thunderstorm warning to take in the areas that I just talked about. We're not going to be getting an additional tornado warning, but that severe thunderstorm warning should be coming on soon, and it's going to highlight that potential for some winds up to 70 miles per hour and maybe a little bit more. Base velocity is going to give us our best idea of the straight line winds, and these are pretty close to the radar site, so should be fairly close to what they're actually seeing. Now, I know there's some bad data in here. That's why you're seeing the greens. Obviously, you know, the greens would indicate a different direction. It's not like the winds are doing a 180 on us. But just from looking at the brighter reds in here, there are a lot of them picking out 50. Now, again, how accurate is this? I'd wager it's probably gusting more than that, considering the storm's history. And again, this is surrounded by some bad data anyway. So let's continue to treat that as a 60 to 70 mile per hour thunderstorm in terms of the winds. Do we have outages to talk about? Okay, are we going to have that displayed somewhere? Okay, great. So you see that right here. Let's talk about some outages that we've got. Bell County, the darker red color there, looks to be the hardest hit. Now, as a whole, this map has 7,400 customers without power, but Bell County, Williamson County really rocked with some winds and power outages in total. Okay, even more, 8,200, and that was Bell County alone. Okay, and then Williamson County, 1,148. So not surprising. We heard the reports of trees down. We knew there was going to be at least a little bit of damage. We had reports of wind gusts exceeding 55 miles per hour. So that's your latest from Encore, those two counties in question. We may hear from Milam County soon as this storm rolls in, but no outages yet from Milam County. But wow, that did take a big chunk out of some power for Bell County and Williamson County. So check on your friends and neighbors if you can. Maybe some of them are without power right now and see what you can do for them. But we'll continue to come back to the Encore map as need be throughout tonight. And in the meantime, we are awaiting this new severe thunderstorm warning that should be coming out. By the way, Matt, that new severe thunderstorm watch for the Brazos Valley, you're right, it was issued for Houston. That watch goes all the way down to the coast, so the watch is out till 5 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
But for us, it's going to be done far before that.
If we can pull up our Killeen airport camera, can you do that for us, Hannah? All right. But the power just came back on there. We lost power with it earlier, but the camera definitely was blown around a little bit and now is pointing directly at the roof. So there you go. The camera was literally blown around there at the Killeen airport. So that's what we have at the Killeen airport right now. Not the pretty view that we usually get. The power went out. Don't know if it cycled that way and became that way or if the wind blew it like that, but definitely an indication that some potent winds came through the Killeen airport. So we did have that. We did have some tree damage reported on the southeast side of Harker Heights, tree damage reported in Salado, and it's dark, so I'm sure a lot of people are not seeing some of the damage right now. We'll probably have to wait till light for some of that damage to be realized, but I'm sure some shingles were blowing off roofs and everything like that. So there's the brand new severe thunderstorm warning.
Yes, so, sorry, juggling some things back here. Severe thunderstorm warning is brand new, as we mentioned here, and it does take into effect most of Falls County, all of Milam County, all of Robertson County, and let's see, that little last section of Bell as well. Do want to get the tornado warning off there because that's pretty much as good as expired. So that new severe thunderstorm warning is going to run until, let's get that number back up here for you. It's going to be a later expiration time of 10:15. And again, some 70 mile per hour winds are possible with this one. So still very gusty, and that warning has been drawn for a large portion of the storm. And it's not just for the Bow Echo. Maybe there could be some other parts of this thunderstorm that they feel are intensifying. And so new northern portions of our communities are now involved in this severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go ahead and check out that just from, I'm going to take the radar and the lightning off really quick just to show you the whole thing, because there's a lot going on here. So the new severe thunderstorm warning box has been drawn all the way up to Marlin. And then we've got the brand new issuance till 10:30. So let's put the radar back on, put the lightning back on. And again, that warning's been drawn for, you could argue, this whole section of the thunderstorm. They may be looking at the whole thing right here. I'd wager from Troy down to Cameron, back to Rockdale, it's this whole complex that they've warned. And they're saying that as that's moving east, this is going to be the area that could encounter from some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So looking at some reports in the background, as the National Weather Service is also monitoring for some possible rotation, trying to pick itself out. Let's go to Calvert. Okay. So that would be, yeah, Calvert would be, am I looking?
Yeah, that's not right. I think they meant Cameron.
Yeah, I bet they meant Cameron, because Calvert is a
Yeah, that's
over
north
in
of her,
Robertson
and I was
County.
like, yeah, that's
I had
way
to
east. I was
check
like,
myself for a moment.
really? That went that far east? No.
They meant Cameron.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what they're watching, Matt.
So yeah, this little notch right here, could be a couple little notches developing very close to Cameron right now. These are usually quick spin ups, and the tornado warning will be expiring here in the next 10 seconds or so, but still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and there's a tornado tag with that. So still the possibility will exist for some quick spin ups as this continues off to the east. 60, 70 mile per hour winds likely being realized in Cameron right now, but the tornado warning has officially expired. They're watching these little notches very carefully. Again, one right here, north side of Cameron, one on the south side of Cameron, kind of literally bisecting the city as it makes its way off toward the east there along Highway 77, 190, then continuing off to the east from there. So no official tornado warning being issued as of yet, but the rotation is starting to tighten up, especially just south of Cameron there. So that's what we're going to be watching as we go through the next few minutes. We're going to give it a little bit of time here, see if that, but definitely a couple bows, one going right through Cameron, one just south of Cameron between 77 and 190. That will continue to march off toward the east. So in the Cameron area, we still have the potential for those very strong winds. That's occurring right now. And again, a brief spin up cannot be ruled out. Eastern parts of Milam County as you head east of Highway 77. So let's keep a close eye on that as we may have that potential. And again, I do think they meant Cameron on that.
That would almost certainly be the case. So like you said, the bow structure is still there. You can see it really easily with reflectivity here. And it's not exactly where the greatest lightning is. I mean, the greatest concentration of lightning is still back up towards Temple. So if you all are watching there, it's still a very electric storm. Same thing down to Rogers, but that's not necessarily where the most potent wind with this is. I'd say the strongest wind would be occurring from Rosebud down to Cameron and Rockdale. And you're just seeing a switch in colors there just because at that distance we're starting to talk about what's moving away and toward the radar. It all comes into what direction we're looking. But essentially it's the same. It's some strong wind gusts working its way along the 77 corridor getting into that area. So we'll continue to watch it. You're right, Matt. No reissuance of a tornado warning. The first one was allowed to expire. And right now we have this severe thunderstorm warning that's been drawn for a big area until 10:30 for some potential of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And again, that's approaching 77 right now.
All right, so the tornado warning has expired. This is now pushed through the city of Cameron, or is pushing through the city of Cameron as of right now. So we've done our warning with that. We'll continue to watch these. What we're going to do is return to regular programming on KXXV, at least briefly, but we'll continue on our digital platforms. So you can watch us on our app, you can watch us on Facebook Live, you can watch us on all digital platforms. But for now, we're going to return everyone to regular programming on KXXV, and we'll continue on our digital. Thank you for watching, and we're going to still be right on top of it, folks. If we have to, we'll be right back on. Thanks for watching. Keep it here. We'll keep you advised.